Okay, so when owners ask me about pet foods, I start off by telling them that I don't have brand loyalty because there's just so many out there and it's impossible for me to know all the different foods. Are they good? Are they bad? I don't know. There's a lot of expensive foods out there that claim the freshest ingredients and best foods, and I'm sure that they are, but because I don't know that, and I can't verify that with every food, I like to put some criteria on the foods that I use. And so I look at the AAFCO guidelines, AAFCO. This stands for the American Association of Feed Control Officials. So of course anyone can beg the question, well, why do these guys get to decide what's good and what's not? Well, because we've decided they're the experts. They have been, elected or assigned these positions, and so as with anything, I need to trust someone in an authority position, and so that's what I do. And AAFCO states that every bag of food has to contain two statements. One is the food, is the food tested or is it formulated? So formulated means that someone has sat behind a computer and they have put this ratio in and they've decided that that ratio for that pet should be sufficient. However, in this situation, your dog becomes the guinea pig. In a tested situation, it means that after the formulation has been created, it is then tested on a population of dogs over a period of time and monitored for adverse reactions. And for me, if I'm going to use a food, if I'm going to use a drug, if I'm going to use a surgical procedure, I want a study and a test behind it. And I understand that all these other foods that have been formulated, they run in-house tests. And so every food you could essentially say has been tested, but not by AAFCO standards. And so this is where I lie my criteria, the food that's been tested. Number two is what life stage. So AAFCO has to answer what life stage. Okay, and so AAFCO defines 4 life stages. 1, adult. 2, puppy. 3, gestating. 4, lactating. And you'll notice that there's not a fifth, there's not a senior definition, because there are so many different things that can happen in a senior pet's life, metabolic and endocrine related conditions and illnesses that change their nutrient requirements. And so we don't define a basic diet for that life stage. The really tricky part is when a food calls something all life stages. That is a definition of AAFCO, and so to call a food all life stages, it has to meet the highest metabolic requirement of any of these food stages, which is essentially a puppy food. So if a dog bag of food has an adult dog on it, but it says all life stages, you are really feeding a puppy food. So you want to watch for that. So in an adult maintenance dog, I want a food that's tested for an adult, and that's where I leave my food. If I hear that they're on a grain-free diet, I caution against that. If I hear that they're on a raw diet, we have conversations about that. So I'm very open-minded about foods, but I also like to have some objective criteria when recommending foods, and so that's what I talk about.